One of the most important reasons why I am really happy and grateful to no longer be in religious and church culture as an ordained clergy, having left that 3 years ago, is that I have ownership over my own body. And this is something that I do not take for granted because having worked in the Presbyterian Church, a relatively progressive denomination, for 10 years as a senior pastor and head of staff, um, one would think that that would be a space where women's leadership is accepted, respected, especially my physical body, but that was not the case. And it's something that I have seen time and time again with the clients that I work with, both clergy, former clergy, and those in non-religious leadership spaces. The tendency still in today's age to have others want to control and possess our physical bodies. This is something that came up a lot in my doctoral research on psychological safety of Gen X and millennial women leaders, and it is a consistent experience that I see with my female clergy clients and also non-clergy clients who I work with in terms of leadership coaching. So this idea that our bodies are our own is something that continues to be pushed back upon in both religious and non-religious settings, and in the political environment, especially with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which gave basic reproductive rights and choices to women, which has been taken away, and which there are severe consequences with that change in legislation. And so that being legitimized on the federal level really made clear to me that today's age continues to be a threatening space for women's bodies in the ways in which that you can safeguard yourself and also have self-talk within your own self to assure yourself when this is a behavior that should not be allowed and tolerated, and whether to make important decisions around your psychological and physical safety in different contexts that you may find yourself in. So a couple of things that have come up consistently that I'll share here is this idea of one of my clients described it as being a human in a human body, but not being allowed to do normal human body things. In her case, related to her reproductive life, she was married, had a child, was pregnant during this time in her work, and the level of scrutiny and attention on her reproductive life, her physical body, her pregnant body, her postpartum body was to the point that she felt completely dehumanized in a way that really compromised her ability to do her job well, and eventually she left that context. This is a consistent experience that the women I work with share, this inability to feel like you can be a human in a human body in the spaces where you live and work. Another woman described this experience of shocking and freezing. This is something that I talk about in a separate video where I discuss the freeze or fawn response to situations that feel threatening. This woman was in a situation where she was physically confronted by a man and touched in an inappropriate way. And her own psychology and embodied experience was not able to process that in the moment because it was so shocking. She was in her 40s. She had experienced things similar early in her career, but as an older woman in a leadership position, she was shocked that this was in fact happening to her. But what was really revealing was when she brought this incident to the HR department in her work setting, there were two generations of women who had strikingly different responses. A millennial woman who was younger than her, in her late 30s, said, "Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you come to us sooner?" And then an older baby boomer woman said, "Oh, this is just part of the territory. This happens to all of us, and you're overreacting." And so here, within even just a exclusively female conversation of two generations, this woman who was in her 40s was caught between these changing narratives of gender and autonomy and physical autonomy. And it was really reflective of the ways in which culturally we are situated right now, where when you talk about gender narratives that women themselves hold, women who have experienced this kind of dehumanizing abuse over the course of the past several decades, who are now maybe in their late 60s, early 70s to mid 70s, sort of minimize and gaslight these experiences of sexual abuse, sexual harassment. Whereas younger women who are maybe more predisposed to this kind of needing to push back and the okayness in confronting these behaviors, respond like this younger woman in the HR department did, which is, why didn't you come to us sooner? And then the reality of this freeze or fawn or shock and freeze experience is that sometimes we're just not able to fully comprehend what has happened to us when our physical autonomy, our bodily autonomy is taken away from us in a situation like that. And so the other examples I'll just give more generally and not give specific people's experiences, but in the dissertation research that I did on women leaders' psychological safety, these were the pervasive comments that women would get, and I specifically looked at clergy women who are in their 30s to early 40s, related to their bodies. There would be commentary on dress, hair, shoes, earrings, makeup, tone and speed of voice, as well as our reproductive choices, our requests for medical leave, and gaslighting of our need for appropriate physical boundaries. And as I've shared with my clients who are asking me, is this something that I need to address formally? Is it legitimate enough for me to have a complaint against this behavior? I say absolutely yes, because it is dehumanizing, infantilizing, abusive, obsessive, voyeuristic, and disgusting. And I think the more women who can identify really quickly when behavior toward them are any of those things, again, it dehumanizing, infantilizing, abusive, obsessive, voyeuristic, and disgusting, instead of minimizing those experiences or overriding that behavior and saying somehow that it's not as bad as it really felt, I think is the key to shifting around this behavior, as well as other women acknowledging and advocating for other women when these experiences are in fact felt. So I encourage you, if this is something you're encountering in your work environment where your physical body does not feel safe or comfortable in a way that it should, then really take that seriously and ask yourself, is this a safe space for me to continue to work? Is it a place where I can thrive and feel safe in? And if not, to start making really strong choices and plans around an alternative space for you to live, work, and thrive.